And earlier on, I spoke to former U.S. Trade Representative Carla Hills, who told me that the bill may simply lead to a trade war, which will eventually hurt Americans.
I worry very much that when we suggest that we're going to put tariff barriers at the border through anti-dumping measures or any other measure, that the temptation to retaliate and do the same thing toward American exports is very, very high. And we really should keep in mind that China is our fastest growing export market. It's, when trade plummeted last year and our trade with the rest of the world fell more than 20%, our trade with China held flat. And if you look at the decade before the crisis, our exports were growing 340%. And that was with virtually every state in the union. And I think it's a mistake. One of the sectors that has benefited is our manufacturing sectors. For example, autos. Autos sold into the Chinese market, exported to the Chinese market, have just soared. And so if restrictions are put on U.S. exports, our economy will suffer because the consumer, the private consumer, has not bailed out of the wealth evaporation that has occurred. And the government certainly has a debt that is mounting. And what we need to rely upon more are sales overseas.
Yeah, Carla, a lot of people say that even if the yuan does appreciate, even if China does blink and does strengthen its currency, the jobs are not going to come back to the U.S. They're going to go elsewhere to lower-priced economies like Vietnam, Bangladesh, and other manufacturing hubs as well.
Well, if the currency were to appreciate, and frankly, since June 19, when China released the peg, it's come up about almost 2%. It's not going to fix our deficit. It is not going to create jobs. The products that we get from China at the low end, as you say, would probably be purchased from others like Vietnam or Cambodia. And at the upper end, a lot of what we take in is not value-added Chinese. You hear the example so often.
Now, Carla, this bill has been passed by the U.S. House. It still needs to be passed by the Senate. I think 60 votes is needed there before President Obama can sign it into law. What do you think the probability is of the Senate passing this legislation?
It'll be closer in the Senate than in the House. They will need to get 60 votes. And I'm hopeful that the Senate will think very, very carefully. And remember that when we embedded Buy America legislation in 2009, China tightened its national champion program, its indigenous innovation program, and set aside 18 categories that it would look at home for. So we can get into this tit-for-tat kind of protectionism, but boy, it hurts both countries very, very badly.